Are you considering transitioning out of ministry because it's time to do something new? This can be an exciting and nerve-wracking experience. There are many ways that this type of change will affect your life and the lives of those around you. Hey, this is Evan from dailychristianhelp.com, where we help leaders gain confidence and build dependable teams. And in this video, I'm going to share 9 tips to consider before transitioning out of ministry. When I was 20 years old, I became a pastor and decided to transition out of ministry when I was 38. I was in the ministry for 18 years, and during the last 5 years or so, I found myself constantly considering and bouncing around the ideas of trying or doing something new. In 2020, I decided to leave the ministry for secular work, and at this point focus all of my time and effort on creating content and resources just like this. And there is no doubt that you too have transferable skills and abilities that you could utilize in a variety of fields of work. However, there are several things that you need to consider before you make this change. Leaving the ministry is a big deal, especially if pastoring and church life is all you've ever known. I want to share with you what I've learned along the way and hopefully some insights that help you decide how and if you should transition out of ministry. And depending on what stage you are in this process, you may be feeling excitement, grief, nervousness, and a plethora of other emotions. And you're also probably wrestling with questions like, am I abandoning God's flock, and am I no longer fulfilling the plan and purpose of God's will for my life? And these are valid concerns and questions that are worthy of taking time, gathering input, and seeking wisdom and guidance in order to make the best decision for your life. Or maybe you're in a situation that is no longer healthy for you, your family, or the church. And if so, more than likely, it's time to move forward. Whatever your situation may be, here are 9 factors that you can evaluate to help you make a good decision. And like I said, I considered the idea of leaving the ministry for 5 years. And I'm not suggesting that it needs to take you near that amount of time. However, taking a reasonable amount of time before making a decision is wise. I like what Carey Nieuwhof says concerning this type of decision. Whether you exit should be a matter of careful prayer, discernment, and influenced by the counsel of wise people who know you well and love you enough to tell you the truth. In addition to prayer, these factors can help you decide how to best transition out of ministry if that's the decision that you end up making. And beyond having a lousy week, season, or even year in ministry, there are some things to consider before making a final decision. The first thing I would suggest is to clarify why you want to quit the ministry. It is crucial to understand why you're considering making this decision. Your ability to process and articulate why you want to move on can help you determine if you're making a premature decision. Because when making a ministry or career change, it's always best to run towards an opportunity than from a problem. So you may need to ask yourself questions like, am I burning out or do I just need a break? Is this an idea that I just cannot shake? Am I experiencing hurt in the church? Is the culture that I'm in unhealthy? Do you have a side hustle that has grown? Are new opportunities expanding and overtaking your focus? Or is there something else going on? Pinpointing and precisely understanding why you want to make this change will absolutely help you make the best decision. Evaluating why you want to leave the ministry will help you to make a confident decision about either staying or going. Secondly, you need to identify what motivates you. Have you ever taken the time to consider if there's a disconnect between what motivates you and the work that you're doing? What if the ministry is not draining to you? What if the work that you're doing in the ministry is draining you? There may be a gap between your natural giftings and the roles and responsibilities that you're currently fulfilling. Identifying what motivates you can help you create alignment or make a change. The third thing you need to consider is to not underestimate job flexibility. If you've been serving in ministry for a long time, more than likely you've adapted to being your own boss in a sense. Pastors and ministry leaders often get to experience autonomy and have freedom to adjust their schedules for ultimate work-life balance. Have you taken the time to consider what that freedom truly means to you? Will you be able to find a job with the same level of flexibility, or will you have to start from the bottom and work your way up again? Leaving the ministry for secular work may be the next step for you, but do not underestimate the value of flexibility and autonomy. Working with set hours, designated lunch breaks, or rigid schedules may not be your cup of tea. I know for me, absolutely, it was not. If you begin the job search or enter the interview process, be sure to gain clarity around these types of questions so that you know exactly what you're getting into. Fourth, you must be able to articulate your unique skill set. Before you leave the ministry for secular work, it's critical for you to consider how you can use your passion and giftings in a new career field. What are you good at? What do you love doing? Which talents and abilities just light you up and bring you to life? Being able to articulate your skill set may seem like an easy thing to do that you don't need to put much thought into, but for many people, it's not. Try it right now. Say it out loud to yourself or to a friend in 1 minute or less, the unique problem that your skill set solves and why you are a valuable addition to any team. I trust that the skill sets that you've acquired while working in ministry are vast, but the key is identifying and articulating which ones are your strongest and how you can transfer them to new opportunities. Fifth, have you thought about what do you want to do instead of vocational ministry? What type of work do you want to do if it's not pastoring or as a church leader? Do you already have a side hustle or a career that you've been building on the side? Figuring out how to transition out of ministry will require having a vision for what's next. Sometimes it's easy to romanticize the idea of leaving the ministry for a new career field or opportunity, but if you do not have an idea or context for it, you may end up being disappointed. Begin talking to others who are already in a career field that interests you, or follow a podcast that discusses a subject or career that interests you. The point is, begin identifying work and opportunity that is attractive to you. The sixth thing that you really need to consider is what mission will your work support. You do not want to do something or be a part of something that you're not passionate about after leaving ministry for secular work. It's important for you to realize that a belief in a valuable mission has driven your decisions concerning your work and life up to this point. Will you connect to the vision and values of a new organization as deeply as you connect to vocational ministry? Your work can support a greater mission for your life, but don't discredit the fact that you will spend a large amount of time investing in a new mission. And of course, you can find great fulfillment in other areas outside of your work. However, work must also be fulfilling and meaningful to you. If you do not align with the mission or values of a new organization, it will be very difficult for you. The seventh thing you need to consider is how will this change impact your finances? Can you at this point afford to make a change? Or if necessary, can you live on an emergency fund for an extended period of time? Do you need to find another job quickly in order to support yourself or your family? Answering these types of questions about this decision will help you to better realize the financial implications. Take time to research what the market looks like for your skill sets, because if you decide to leave the ministry, you'll have a better idea of what your salary potential actually is. The eighth question to consider is, when do you want to transition out of ministry? If possible, it's important to have a timeline in place. Have you thought about or established a goal for when you would like to leave your current role or position? Determining an end date will help guide the timing between leaving your current role at your church and creating and building connections for whatever opportunity is next. The ninth thing that you need to ask is, are you having conversations with trusted advisors? The decision to leave ministry for secular work is not to be taken lightly. It's essential to have a clear head and ample support before taking the leap. And therefore, you don't want to make this decision in isolation. If you have people that you can discuss leaving the ministry for secular work with, initiate that conversation. And if you're married, this discussion should be ongoing between you and your spouse. This should be a process that you walk together, and there should be no surprises as best you can on your end. Be open to honest feedback and inquire as much wisdom as you can from trusted friends, advisors, and mentors. More than likely, they know the path that you have taken up to this point and can help provide insight into how this may impact your life or ministry moving forward. And if you're a senior pastor who is seriously teetering on leaving the ministry, if you can have a safe conversation with your elder team, you should do that. They can help support you, create a path towards new opportunities, and prepare for a successful church transition. Above all, and of course, talk to God about this decision and seek counsel from those who care about and love you. As with any significant life decision, it's essential to take time for reflection before moving forward and making any life-altering decision. In closing, no one knows how to transition out of ministry perfectly. And like many others, you will need to rely on God's guidance as you move through this season. And as mentioned, it's crucial to take time to reflect on your decision and to try to understand why you feel this way in the first place. Be sure to seek counsel from friends and to do your best to learn from the experience of others who have been where you are. Hey, I hope this has helped you. If so, would you mind hitting the like button? And for more content, be sure to subscribe. And be sure to check out the guide in the description to help you overcome decision fatigue and empower your team to lead. This is Evan from dailychristianhelp.com. Thanks again for watching, and we'll see you on the next one.